What's interesting to me is that we're seeing this sell-off, we're recovering a little bit, but Berkshire Hathaway's stock is not getting crushed as much. What do you make of that?
It was interesting, right? Because even in the midst of the sell-off that we had this morning, as you mentioned, it was steady, it was holding firm, right? And I think that just goes to sort of the sentiment around Berkshire Hathaway and around Warren Buffett. After the annual letter was released, he talked quite a bit about capital allocation. I mean, that's going to be sort of, the single biggest defining factor into whether or not an investor is going to get rewarded for holding Berkshire shares. It's how Warren Buffett and his deputies, Todd Combs and Ted Weschler, allocate capital. And so far, he seems to be doing a pretty good job. I mean, he talked about some of his investments like Nevada Energy. And also he talked about Heinz, for instance, and the partnership with 3G Capital. All of that is a way to have him intelligently allocate that capital, right? Noah?
That's exactly. It's a huge thing that shareholders care about, and he spent a lot of his letter just talking about all of the ways that Berkshire can spend money.
$42 billion, right? I heard he wants to keep about $20 billion in cash.
Yeah,
so
he always likes to be able to sleep well at night, and they write a lot of insurance contracts that can result in pretty big claims. So yeah, he likes that cash cushion.
Right, we've had all the weather issues this year.
Right. So there's all sorts of risks that they've taken on that they want that $20 billion for, but they ended the year with actually closer to $50 billion in cash.
Well, then I wonder, we always hear he wants to invest in America, right? Where's the speculation on where the next target may be, and will it be a capital-intensive target like energy, or will it be more sort of self-sustaining, maybe like insurance or even the Heinz deal?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because we were both talking with Tom Russo, but Tom came on our radio program afterwards. He's a Berkshire shareholder, has been for a long time, and he said, one of the interesting things is, given how many targets there are overseas and how many trips Buffett has made in the last few years, twice to Europe, once to China, he hasn't announced any big acquisition overseas. Is it because there's a lack of interest from others outside the U.S. borders, or is it because he really wants to stick to this Buy American theme and stay in the U.S.? And frankly, there aren't a lot of big, elephant targets here.
Yeah, and the thing
especially at the last stock run-up.
Yeah,
I mean, you could argue
well,
that too.
and the thing that doesn't get mentioned enough here is that Berkshire doesn't actually have to go out and buy a business to spend a lot of money. They have operations already that have opportunities for reinvestment. They spent $11 billion last year just on plant and equipment.
And that kind of brings up the law of large numbers as well. In my reading over the weekend, it's at some point you're just too big to grow, right?
Well, you can grow, just not as fast as you were before.
I mean, we're
that
talking
much bigger of an acquisition.
Yeah, we're talking about a company that just had a tremendous compounding over the years, and doing that when you're, a company with a market value of $280 billion is really hard.